I want you to think about the last time you were in a hospital. Maybe as a patient, maybe visiting someone you care about, maybe just passing through a corridor on your way somewhere else. You saw a doctor, white coat, stethoscope around the neck. That particular walk, purposeful, unhurried, confident in a way that feels almost biological. And without thinking about it, without consciously deciding to, you trusted them, completely, immediately, before they said a single word. Because that's what we do. That's how human beings are wired. We read the signals, we recognize the pattern, and we extend trust before we have any actual information to base it on. I need you to hold on to that feeling. Because in 1951, 300 men on a warship extended that same trust to their doctor every single day. And their doctor had never passed a medical exam in his life. More than that, the most complex medical procedure he had ever performed before joining that ship was handing out aspirin. Stay with me, because what happens next is going to challenge something you probably believe very deeply about competence, credentials, and what we actually mean when we say someone is qualified. Korea, 1951. The Korean War is in its second year. The HMCS Cayuga is a Canadian naval destroyer. It has been operating in Korean waters for months, running patrols, supporting operations, doing the quiet, dangerous work of a warship in an active conflict zone. 300 crew members, all of them professional, all of them trained, all of them focused on their duties, all of them feeling safe. Because they have a doctor on board, Dr. Joseph Sear. He joined the ship several months ago. In that time, he has treated colds and injuries with quiet competence, pulled teeth when necessary, written out prescriptions with the casual fluency of someone who has done it 1,000 times. He knows the medical terminology. He knows the procedures. He speaks about medicine the way you speak about something you've spent your whole career inside of. Nobody questions him. Nobody has any reason to. Except for one thing. Dr. Joseph Sear doesn't exist. The real name of the man wearing that coat is Ferdinand Waldo Demara. And Ferdinand Demara is one of the most extraordinary human beings of the 20th century, for reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with medicine. Demara never completed high school. He has no degrees. He has no legitimate professional credentials of any kind. What he has is a photographic memory, an almost supernatural ability to absorb and retain technical information, and something rarer than any of those things: the capacity to become, completely and convincingly, whoever the moment requires him to be. Before the Cayuga, he had successfully impersonated a civil engineer, a psychologist with a clinical practice, a law school professor, a Trappist monk, the deputy warden of a prison in Texas. He stole the identity of the real Dr. Joseph Sear, a legitimate physician who had no idea any of this was happening, and joined the Canadian Navy. His plan was simple: collect the officer's salary, hand out aspirin and bandages, stay out of trouble, be discharged eventually with no one the wiser. And then, fate, which has a particular sense of humor, decided to test him. One afternoon in the waters off Korea, the Cayuga receives an urgent call. 16 Korean soldiers have been severely wounded in combat. They need immediate medical attention. The ship is the closest vessel. They are brought aboard. The deck becomes a makeshift hospital. Stretchers, blood, the smell of antiseptic, and the sound of men in serious pain. The captain turns to Demara. "Doctor, we won't make it to shore in time. Prepare for surgery." The world contracts to a single point. Demara runs the options in the space of a few seconds. Option 1. Confess. Admit he is not a doctor. Watch the patients possibly die waiting for medical help that is hours away. Face criminal charges. Option 2. Refuse to operate. Same result for the patients, same result for him. Option 3. He excuses himself, walks to his cabin, closes the door, and does something that has no right to work. On his shelf, brought aboard as a prop to complete the impression of a working doctor, is a thick military surgery textbook. Demara opens it to the relevant sections. He has approximately 15 minutes. What happens in those 15 minutes is the part of this story that surgeons and psychologists have been trying to fully explain ever since. Demara's brain, that extraordinary, terrifying instrument, begins reading at a speed and with a retention that most people cannot access under any circumstances, let alone under pressure. He is absorbing diagrams, memorizing the names of arteries and the routes between them, learning incision angles, calculating anesthesia dosages by body weight. He is not studying medicine. He is loading a very specific program very fast into a system that will need to run it without error in approximately 15 minutes. He closes the book, he takes a breath, and he walks back into the operating room. The men on the ship look at him. He is calm, his hands are steady. His voice, when he speaks, gives nothing away. Nobody notices the sweat. What follows is one of the most astonishing medical performances ever documented. Demara operates. He follows the procedures exactly as he memorized them, moving through each case with a methodical precision that his shipmates will later describe as calm and masterful. He removes a bullet from the area near a man's heart without nicking the surrounding tissue. He extracts shrapnel from multiple wounds. He manages complications that would challenge surgeons with years of training. He works for hours. When the last patient is sutured and bandaged and moved to recovery, Demara sits down. All 16 patients are alive. Not one complication. The ship's medical logs, reviewed later by actual physicians, show outcomes that any qualified surgeon would have been proud of. The story travels fast. Newspapers across Canada and the United States celebrate the remarkable doctor of the HMCS Cayuga. His photograph appears in print. The miracle of 16 soldiers saved at sea. And then, one woman, in her home somewhere in Canada, opens a newspaper and sees her son's photograph on a stranger's face. The real Dr. Joseph Sears' mother contacts the authorities. Demara is investigated, exposed, discharged from the Navy. And then, the Canadian military faces an extraordinary problem. What exactly do you charge this man with? He impersonated a medical officer. That is clearly a crime. But the outcomes of his surgeries were excellent. The men he operated on recovered fully. He caused no harm and arguably saved 16 lives that might otherwise have been lost. They cannot charge him with malpractice. His practice, judged by results, was not mal at all. They let him go. Ferdinand Demara went on to impersonate several more professions over the following years, before eventually becoming a hospital chaplain in California, a role he held legitimately and in which patients, by most accounts, found him genuinely comforting and kind. Here's what I want you to sit with. We live in a world organized almost entirely around credentials, degrees, licenses, certifications, years of training. The piece of paper that says you are allowed to do the thing you are doing. And those things matter, deeply. The systems that produce genuine expertise exist for very good reasons, and the world is better for them. But the Cayuga story forces a question that credentials cannot answer. What is competence, actually? Is it the paper on the wall? Is it the years in a classroom? Is it something that can be transferred, absorbed, learned fast under extreme pressure by the right kind of mind in the right kind of circumstances? 16 men walked off that ship alive. I don't have an answer, but I haven't stopped thinking about the question. And I suspect if you're honest with yourself, neither will you. Hit like if this one stayed with you. Subscribe. 3 days, next story. See you then.